Let's go over some Dynasty running back fallers, and all three of these guys that I have for y'all today are due to free agency. There was crazy amount of running back action in the free agent pool this season in the NFL, and it affected a lot of people's fantasy value. Let's start at the very first guy. We're talking about Roshan Johnson from the Chicago Bears. They had DeAndre Swift come over in free agency. They still have Khalil Herbert there, and a lot of people were thinking with Roshan Johnson coming out of Texas behind Bijan Robinson, he was a great running back, and even me on this channel was very high on Roshan Johnson and his ability to get things done. But just looks like the Bears are not really wanting to give the reins to Roshan Johnson, definitely signing DeAndre Swift to a contract. Now they're probably gonna have Caleb Williams as the #1 pick in the draft. They also have another top pick in the draft. We'll see where they have to go with that, but overall Roshan Johnson is almost not even in the cards and not even fantasy relevant for the next few years to come unless he ends up getting traded to another team. So if you do have Roshan Johnson, you're probably not very excited that you have him on the roster. Just look at last season. Roshan Johnson ended up with 352 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns with 209 yards receiving and 0 touchdowns. And when given the opportunity, Roshan Johnson, he was actually pretty decent on the field. He wasn't like this all pro type of running back, but he was a very good running back for fantasy football and for the NFL in whole. But just with DeAndre Swift coming over, they're making a lot of different changes. I just don't see Roshan Johnson having a path for success for your fantasy football roster. You really can't trade him because his value is very low. You can't drop him because it's Roshan Johnson. I'm pretty sure if given the opportunity, he could be a really good fantasy. You're kind of just stuck with him. He's a hold for right now. He's just falling in Dynasty, and he's going to have something happen to him for his value to come up to be worth either trading or to have on your roster. So unfortunately, Roshan Johnson is definitely a faller for me. Look at the next faller we're going to talk about. It's going to be Taj Spears from the Tennessee Titans. And I know everybody was super excited with Derrick Henry moving on. It's going to be Taj Spears show. And when given the opportunity, Taj Spears was showing out. He was a very, very good running back. But I know a lot of people are saying, well, his size, he really can't be a 3-down kind of workhorse. And that's probably exactly what the Titans saw in him as well when they added Tony Pollard over to the mix. The good thing is that I don't think Taj Spears is losing his value as far as what he had last season. I just think he's a faller because it's crashing his perceived value that he was going to have. Tony Pollard coming over here. Tony Pollard had the best season with Ezekiel Elliott. And then when he was, hey, you are the man now, we saw what Tony Pollard ended up doing. So I think that it might still be, there's a good shot that Taj Spears could be that early down roll type of guy and have Tony Pollard kind of spelling him from time to time. Now, obviously, it could be Tony Pollard being the 1A kind of guy and Taj Spears spelling him, but I just think Taj Spears at this point is probably a better running back than Tony Pollard, but it doesn't mean that Taj Spears is going to be a 3-down back anymore. It is what it is. There's just now there's no bell cow role for Taj Spears anymore, so he's definitely a Dynasty faller for me. And the last running back we're going to go over today as a Dynasty faller is going to be Zamir White from the Raiders. Oh, Zeus himself. Everybody was super excited. Josh Jacobs is leaving town. It's going to be the Zamir White show, because I'm telling you, when Zamir White was running the football as the #1 running back there, he was looking great. I mean, there's a reason why people are super excited to see Zamir White show out for fantasy football. What do? They go out and sign Alexander Mattison. Now, Alexander Mattison and Zamir White is kind of relatively almost the same type of running back. Don't get it twisted. Alexander Mattison, he's not complete garbage. He's actually a good running back. He just, whenever he was given the opportunity to be the man, he just crushed under pressure with the Vikings, wasn't able to produce. Ty Chandler came in behind him, actually looked a little bit better than Alexander Mattison. So he moves right along and now ends up with the Raiders. And there's a good chance there's going to be a nice little battle in camp. And there is. Could it be a hot take? Maybe, but there is an opportunity for Alexander Mattison to beat out Zamir White for the #1 running back position. It all just has to see. Like I said, they're very similar in my eyes. Zamir White, let's look at some of the numbers of what Zamir White put up last year. He ended up having 451 yards rushing with a touchdown, and he ended up having 98 yards receiving with 0 touchdowns. So, like I said, when given the opportunity, he was rock solid. The problem is that now you got Alexander Mattison, and it's kind of showing me what are the Raiders really vision, for White. Do they really see him as that 3-down role? If so, I don't believe they would have went out and got somebody like an Alexander Mattison. I thought they maybe would have downgraded a little bit. Now, don't get what I'm not saying. Alexander Mattison isn't this world class type of running back, but I think he's good enough to push White 4 carries to where you're not going to see a bell cow type of role for Zamir White either. he is also going to be a dynasty faller for me. And now that is my 3 running back dynasty fallers. Just a quick little video to kind of show you guys what's going on, what you need to keep your eye on for the upcoming not only NFL draft but your fantasy drafts. We ultimately want to make sure you are winning championships year after year. There is no off season here at the Bayou Bengal Fantasy Network. Guys, hit the subscribe button, really appreciate it. We're really cruising right along to almost 800 subscribers, and I did notice that most of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed yet. Do yourself a favor, that way you guys can get notified every single time we drop a video. We're pumping out multiple of those each and every week. Guys, can't wait to see you guys on the next video. We'll see y'all next time.